Pōmarie, everybody. Great to have you all here tonight for our November Te Awamutu Kihikihi Community Board meeting. We're going to start the night off with a karakia timatanga. So here we go. Mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te titiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te whakamomori, mā te aroha, ka taia e mātou. And that translated is by believing and trusting, by having faith and hope, by looking and searching, by listening and hearing, by working and striving together, by sheer desire and determination, by all being done with compassion, we will succeed. Okay, so we do have an apologies from board member Whitaker, but I think otherwise everybody else is all here. So if I'll move that the Te Awamutu and Kiki Community Board accepts the apologies for the non-attendance of board member Whitaker. If I can have someone, Jill, to second it. All in favour? Against? Carried. I always think that one's a funny one. How can you have someone be against if they're just not here? Anyway. Item 2 is the disclosure of members' interests. Have we got anyone that has any conflicts this evening in regard to any of our topics? John, do you in regard to the ComSafe discretionary? And Bruce? Yep, so we've just got that. Is there anything else that anyone's concerned about? No? Okay, thank you. So if we can just note those. Thanks, Kieran. So we move on to item 3, which is the public forum. And this evening we have Shane Walsh, CEO of the Te Awamutu Business Chamber. Welcome, Shane. And I believe you're here tonight to have a chat to us about your bid proposal that you've put to council. So if you'd like to have a seat up the end and push the little button, it is all yours for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Look, I've just come as a matter of courtesy because the Chamber has just sent out a proposal to business building owners in the central business district of Te Awamutu, seeking their vote on the idea of having a targeted rate. And so that went out a few days ago, and they have to November the 20th to actually vote on that idea. Now, the idea of this targeted rate is that money will be used to fund an organisation called Heart of Te Awamutu. So basically, the building owners who will pass that rate on to their tenants, who are the retailers, will then get that money back to spend as they desire to increase foot traffic, etc., in the main street of Te Awamutu. So, in other words, to put some vibrancy into Te Awamutu. It's only a modest amount of money. It's $50,000 that we're trying to raise, but it will just mean that year in and year out, there will be things happening on the main street of Te Awamutu to increase foot traffic and increase spend in those retailers. The idea came through our retail committee of the business chamber, and it's all about them trying to take control of their own destinies to create an environment where they will succeed in the future. This is called a BID, which just stands for Business Improvement District, and there's 70 of these in New Zealand, so it's not an uncommon thing. And it really came out of the UK, where they had an issue with empty shops in the high streets of the UK, and this was the suggested solution to solve that problem of having empty shops in the main street. So I think if we're successful, and it's going to be tight, it will be a game changer for Te Awamutu in terms of creating a vibrant environment in the main street. So I just thought out of courtesy just to let you know that we've done that, and hopefully that you can, if you are talking to people, you can support it and help us to achieve the vote. I think we need at least 40% of the building owners returning their vote. And out of that, we need 60% of them agreeing. So the votes come back to the Waipa District Council, they count it, and then they let us know if we've been successful or not. So that money will be from the retailers, for the retailers, to invest in their futures. Madam Chair, and just one other item. I thought that just to update you on the Holmes garage thing. So we're doing a feasibility study at the moment on that, and that goes to council, the Waipa District Council, in November in their meeting there. So that's looking quite good in terms of being able to answer all the questions that the council have asked us to answer. So cross our fingers on that one as well. Okay, thank you.
Just before you leap out of your chair, has anyone got any questions in regard to those things? Lou, let's go Lou and then Jill.
Thank you, Shane. Spoke last night. We have within that, encompassed of that, the RSA. Within that, now the RSA is not your normal retail outlet.
Yeah.
And I would say that we offer quite a lot of assistance and to the local community. For us to actually accept that rate would be a bit onerous at the moment. And I just wondered whether you could make some exclusion for something along the lines that we are already participating in the community.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I believe that in the Auckland, if you can Google it, they have their policy on bids and what the process is for Auckland for that bid. And I do believe there is a process that people can opt out for good reasons. So it's something we haven't looked at or considered. I'd need to discuss it with Ken Morris and to see if that's a possibility, but I don't have an answer for that at the moment. Sorry, Lou.
Just to continue with that, we originally used to sit on the local Chamber of Commerce. We used to actually go to the meetings and we're members.
Yeah, well, you are a member now.
Still a member now,
yeah,
but we just don't uptake that as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Shane. So my query was, have you started to think about things, or are you just waiting? Like, will there maybe be, we have our Black Friday when we have evening shopping. Will there be more evening shoppings and things like that?
Correct. So, the Black Friday blowout, the business chamber finances that at the moment, but it's not sustainable for us to do that year in and year out. We're doing a Christmas tree one, which you've probably heard about as well. Again, that's $14,000 that the chamber can't afford every year just to pay out. So those sorts of activities would continue under this heart of Te Awamutu organisation and many others like that to, create that buzz and that festive feel in the main street.
No, thank you. Since I've lived here 17 years, I've just quite often thought, regular once a month, especially in the summer, shopping to be open later than 5 o'clock would be great. So many shops can't wait to close right on 5 o'clock when there's a lot of people on their way home then.
Yeah. So, Jill, those sort of initiatives are what we hope would come out of Heart of Te Awamutu, because it's in their best interest to create that environment for people not to go to Hamilton, stay in Te Awamutu and spend your money here.
Oops, I forgot to put my button on. So thank you, Shane. Thanks for the update and
That's
good
right.
luck
Okay,
with
thank
that.
you.
I think we probably think that it's a pretty good idea, because it'd be great for the retailers to have someone, in charge of helping them get organised and get events happening and things like that. And it'd be great to see the street zhuzhed up a bit and have someone there in that gap. And I know from years ago when I was in Hastings, we had someone that did exactly that. It really made a big difference to the main street of Hastings, having someone actually be the street coordinator and run different events for them and organise different things. And it really, they got, like baskets, and it just really upped the whole feeling and everything of that main street of Hastings, because it had looked pretty dire up until that point. So they definitely work. So good luck. I hope you get the support you need.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
bye.
Right. So that's us for tonight. A bit different public forum tonight than what we had last month. So onwards and upwards. So we now move to item 4, which is the confirmation of the previous minutes. So I take it that everybody has read those on page 9. So could I get someone to move that those are a true and correct record of the last meeting? Lou, and can I have someone second that? Kane, all in favour? Against? Carried. Okie dokie. So we now move to item 5, decisions made in regard to the public places bylaw and the dog control policy bylaw 2023 on page 19. I'll move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receive the report of Karen Phillips, Governance Officer, titled Decisions Made Public Places Bylaw 2023 and Dog Control Policy and Bylaw 2023. Can I have someone second that, please? John, and all in favour? Against? Carried. Is there any discussion around that people, any comments? I mean, there's not anything we can change or anything, but was there anything that anyone wanted to comment on, or do staff have anything further to add, seeing as those staff members that are in charge of those documents aren't able to be with us tonight? No, nothing. I just wanted to comment that I ran out of time right now, but I'd quite like to go back and have a look and compare what we've got here with what we requested, and just see if there was anything really there that we got a bit of a foothold on. I know without doing that I was really stoked to see the little cruising definition put into the main part of the bylaw underneath, just in that appropriate position. So I was quite stoked with that, but it would be just quite interesting to see where we're sitting on that. But that was my only comment. Otherwise, it's sort of business as usual, I think, for all of those. Okay, we will move on then. So Kieran mentioned that Brian unfortunately can't be with us in regard to the transportation update on page 37. So let's move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board have received the report of Karen Phillips, Governance Officer, titled Transportation Update. Can I have someone to second that, please? Kane, all in favour? Against? Carried. Is there anything to comment or discuss around the transportation update? I just need to remind myself.
Madam Chair,
Bruce,
just
yes.
on Brian's report, Main Street tidy up, he says transportation staff would welcome feedback from this board, whether just they stay or go, especially with the pots I'm referring to. You know, fill them with concrete or something, but I don't know what.
So I know from all of the people I've ever spoken to, nobody likes those pots. Seems to be a fairly unanimous decision that the pots are gross. So I did spot that too, Bruce, and wondered whether I thought we had said a while ago that we were asking, could the pots be removed? And he's kind of come back and said, we would welcome feedback on whether they stay or go. So do they want an official recommendation to say we'd like to move a motion to remove the pots?
There was an official.
I thought we had.
We previously have done that. So yeah, I'll just follow up with them on that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yep. So is everybody quite comfortable with the removal of the pots? We've even got people that are prepared to have a crack at taking them.
How will we get that feedback, Kieran, that's given the okay and it's going to happen? How will you feed that back to us?
Somebody will be.
I thought, sorry, at one stage they said they were cleaning them.
I believe they have had a squirt. of,
Is it a squirt that takes 4 months for the?
wet and forget or just to walk away?
Because I've been watching, I actually like the pots.
Oh, I found someone that likes the pots.
Because I have pots like that myself and make pots like that. But mine would never get to that state and look like that. So
No, you probably didn't have as many trucks driving past your pots. That's possibly part of
but-
it, exhaust and stuff.
it's not hard to clean them. So they obviously haven't been cleaned. So if they're not going to be maintained, I think they need to be removed.
Yeah, I think Lou,
I'm absolutely for getting rid of them. They're a receptacle for rubbish.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
And
one
some
up
other
by
stuff.
us, that's up by the RSA, is a receptacle for urine and all sorts of things.
Mm.
We get all sorts of there at times. So I've actually cleaned it out over the years many times. And as I say, unless they're maintained, they get tipped over. We prop them up again. You've seen what I'm talking about. And they actually do detract a little bit too from the islands that are there for pedestrians. The fact that you've got the pot sitting there, your actual focus tends to go on the pot instead of the little pedestrian coming from the school to walk across that island. So that was another thing that I made an observation on.
I've noticed that too sometimes, especially if they've been a bit skew-whiffed, you're like, oh, the pot, and you kind of tend to, because they are sitting ducks for let's push it over, and they get a regular push, and that's why they've got a big chunk of concrete. But just to remind you, I think both the Lions were quite keen to have a look at them, and so was Bill Harris from out at Kihikihi, so for the Alpha. So I think there's some potential homes to at least give it a go, and if they fall apart, they fall apart. So anyway.
Excuse me, can I just
yes.
say also on the report, it talks about state highway signage on traffic islands, and it refers to the Sloane Vale roundabout, and that Waka Kotahi is investigating how to reduce the island. I've been hearing that for about 4 or 5 years on that same area.
Yeah, so let's hope that having Brian's team have a go at this, and Kane also sent them an email highlighting the damage to the signs and the side of the road, that we've got a bit of a double-pronged approach to this, that it might get a little bit of action, because I have to say they did get onto those signs pretty quickly, and the same with the refuge barrier that had been completely destroyed on Ohopol Road. So I think this might not be a bad way to go about it. I know it's not exactly the right spot, but I had quite a good communication email back from them in response to the controlled Kiki crossing. And so that's gone from Waka Kotahi to their providers, contractors that do that work, and they're going to look into it. And I think from having Brian's team, we sent an email, the Kiki ratepayers and residents and ratepayers also sent an email, Waka Kotahi have gone, so let's keep our fingers crossed that we keep this as a spot that we're going to keep our thumb on the pulse and keep reminding them, and hopefully we won't have to wait another 4 or 5 years to get something done about it. Because I hear you, Jill, it's been a long time, and they are really making a mess of it now. It's on the sides more than the middle, actually. Bruce.
Could I just mention that I think staff have got a really difficult, it might be a challenge dealing with Waka Kotahi. I talked to Brian and Eric Vanderweel the other day about moving a 70 sign further up to the hill. He said they've mentioned that to them many a time and nothing happens. I've got other signs around the district that they just don't seem to, it's a battle for our staff to
Yeah, and that was why we did do that email, because I had also spoken to Brian and said, would it be helpful? And he said, well, it certainly isn't going to do any harm. And so I thought, well, the more of us that say something, so maybe we need to make a list of those other signs, and as a community board and collectively with the Parongia ward, if there's ones out your way that need addressing that are on the state highways, that we do the same again and go, hang on, our community saying these things need to happen. This is a problem for us, and we might help get something done. It's not going to hurt, at least. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we
just,
make a note of that.
Just while we're on signs, the heritage signs, are we scheduled to receive feedback on that at some point?
We
the
probably
near
need to
future?
follow that up. So we
think we
probably
were
need to
leaving it
come back.
open.
Let's come back to that and just trying to think where it could fit.
I just had a quick look through. I don't know if there could be-
Sorry, last month,
Oh.
sorry, feedback there. Last month, I talked to staff about this and they, nothing had progressed at that point. But I hadn't had any indication of when it was likely to be coming back to the community board.
Okay, that's probably a little bit disappointing because I think we were hoping to have something to look at in October, ideally. So that'd be great if we could have something. Also linking in with Shane tonight, who are we, just getting that list of their recommendations onto our LTP or list, right?
I've got a copy of that so I can make sure we include that. Okay. If we can just note that, because it doesn't kind of quite exactly fit with transportation, but I haven't really got anywhere else to put it. But is all right? Cool, thank you. Thank you. So that's pretty much everything on that transportation report, isn't it? Brian did, just on that, Brian had also got back to me in regard to the Main Street tidy up, just in regard to budgets and things. And so I'm hopeful from the way the conversation went that there is going to be some budget allocated to be able to do a little bit more with the Main Street, but I'm just waiting for that. And I was pretty pleased to see the moss and the algae has been sprayed. It now just looks a bit where it has died actually now. It looks, you know, like a bit shriveled up. But anyway, it's better than what it was. So we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, thanks to staff for doing that.
Yeah, and yeah, good point. Thank you. And thanks to Brian for the update. So if you guys can pass that on, much appreciated. Okay, if there's nothing else, we will move on to the next item, which is on page 42 and is item 7, which is the Treasury report. And I think Karen said she had something to mention here. So I will just move that we've received it so that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives a report of Nada Milne, Financial Accountant, titled Treasury Report for the period ended 30th of September 2023. So if I can have someone to second that, please. Jill, all in favour? Against? Carried? And hand over to you, Karen.
So just a slight correction, if you notice in the Treasury report, which is relevant to the next item on the agenda, it records the coronation of King Charles as a commitment, and then it also records it as returned to uncommitted. I checked with the finance this afternoon, and it is still in the committed fund, so we can continue in the same vein for the next item on the agenda.
Okay, so is there any other questions in regard to the Treasury report, or is everyone all happy as sandboys in a sandpit? Kane's got a little bit of a look.
Do we have an update at all from the Rangiawhia Historic Trust? I think Bill texted Sam 3 months ago, maybe.
Yep, so I know a little bit about that. There's a bit of a problem with their account, isn't there? Because they are no longer
what is it?
Rangiawhia.
Runanga Apakura have
Yes.
taken over the bank account. We just need confirmation from the bank to say that they've got that, and we're just still waiting for that.
I'll follow that up again with Bill, because I need to talk to him about something else. So I'll put it on my to-do list. Bill, Runanga Apakura. Runanga Apakura. Sorry, needed to have learnt shorthand. Okay, all right, if we're done and dusted with that, let's have a look at item 8, the reallocation of funding on page 45. So this is in regard to reallocating a couple of amounts of money that we didn't end up needing to use. So the first lot was the $150 that we put aside to be able to put a sign up for the shearing shed. And the second one was in regard to the $300 per put that Karen's just mentioned in regard to the coronation of King Charles. Now, I think it was Sally had suggested that we put that towards Project Battery. So let's, oh, look, because we need to reallocate that, we'll do this part second this time. Let's have our discussion up front and then we can do the whole lot A and B together and move those together. So any comments about putting that against Project Battery, or would you rather just put it into the main coffers? What's the thoughts there?
Looks like Project Battery is going to need more funds, doesn't it? So I mean, seems like a pretty sensible thing to do if we've got that funds there.
I'll agree with Kane.
There's no concerns anyway, so everybody's sort of quite happy for that to go in that direction. Okay, that makes it quick and easy. So can we have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A receives the report of Karen Phillips, Governance Officer, titled Reallocation of Funding, and B, reallocate $150 plus GST from the shearing shed sign and $300 plus GST from the coronation of King Charles event to Project Battery. John, second Jill, in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Right, so now we move on to item 9, which was the discretionary fund allocations on page 49. I just want to check before we get into discussing these. Has anyone got any questions associated with the financials of either of these organisations that require us to go into public excluded? Are there any queries or concerns around their finances or anything you wanted to ask?
Madam Chair, there was an issue emails, which means that really you can't consider
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, but
I just felt that you've got two,
yeah, but it still needs to come up being on our agenda, and that will then determine it's going to, yes, but first of all, is there anything that we need to discuss that is public excluded, or we can make the decision without needing to go into public excluded to discuss their financial position? That's the first part. Yes, no. You do want to discuss something financial? No. No, okay. So we don't need to go to public excluded. Good, right. Okay, so we first of all, let's have a look. We've got an A and a B again. So let's just have a discussion and then let's move these together at the end. So the first organisation that is here is in regard to ComSafe. They were asking for $4,000 to go towards communication. However, there has been an update on that from staff, and I will hand to Karen to explain that in case you hadn't seen it.
So ComSafe receives $40,000 every year from Waipa District Council for operational costs. I talked about this with Ken Morris, and this the funding here that they're requesting is still considered an operational cost. So his recommendation is that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board do not use discretionary funds for this, because there is a rule in the discretionary fund saying if funding for a project cannot be used from more than one source of council in the same financial year. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thanks, Kieran. So, in light of that, are you okay to follow that advice, or are there any comments in regard to what Kieran said?
Yes, I think that's probably, that's pretty clear, that we shouldn't go ahead with it. I wonder if we can give them some good feedback on that though, and maybe suggest other capital projects or things that they can use as opposed to operating costs.
I had wondered that when I re-looked at it too. I sort of thought, that's, you know, and all of the phone bills that came with it. Yeah, I wondered about that. So that was great to get that feedback from Ken. So thank you. So everybody is in favour of going no there? Okay. So we can do that officially when we do B. And then the Te Awamutu Association Football Club. So we thought that would have been something that council helped them look after, but it's not, with aerating and doing all that complicated field looking after stuff. So thoughts on that? I don't have to hand. What did they, 3,000 and something they were asking for, weren't they?
2,000.
2,000, was it? 2,000 and something? I just can't quite remember.
The overall cost was $4,000, but they're asking for two.
Last one. But they've done some fundraising, haven't they? So are we doing the full amount, or are we doing?
I will support that.
$2,000.
Yeah, that having done the grounds at Albert Park, the coring and things like this are very essential, and they do make the grounds far more superior with allowing the moisture to drag down and get in through that subsurface. And it allows the grass itself to extend its root systems. So I'm very keen on this, having done a little bit ourselves. It does work. So I'd move that motion that we accept that.
Okay. Any other comments? Oh, sorry, Lou, before we move it, I just wanted to let everyone have a chance to comment on that.
Yeah, I was heading towards more 800 to, but I'm happy to raise it to 1,000.
Yeah. Well,
Just on the basis of how much money we've got left.
yeah,
over,
so yeah, exactly. But I'm thinking, shouldn't we do it the same as what we've treated everybody else, and we all have a figure and then average it out? Yep. Okay. So Lou was the whole lot. Oh, Kieran.
So what was the amount, the whole lot?
Two. Yeah. So Bruce is a 2. There's a 2. 1, 2. Oh. We just haven't got much money.
I've missed, sorry.
Oh, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, but 1.
I need a 1,000.
Yep. No, Kane was a 1. So 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. And I'm dicking on the fence.
I'll go 2 then.
Peer support 2. I can't be the garden Grinch. So 2. Righto, let's move all of this now then. So Lewis, would you like to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A, receive the report of Kieran Phillips, Governance Officer, titled Discretionary Fund Allocations, October 2023, and B, that we allocate grants from the Waipa Community Discretionary Fund as stated in the following schedule, which will be to the Te Awamutu Association Football Club for $2,000. You okay to move that still? Yes, someone second it. Jill, all in favour? Against? Carried. Righto. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We don't need recommendation to exclude. Right. Board members' reports. Have we got any updates from anyone in regard to places or people they've seen? This is item 11 on our agenda and page 108. Jill, fire away.
So yesterday I was invited, as were the community board, to the to the Te Awamutu Bowling Club where we did the book launch for the Men's Shed, and the Men's Shed very quickly, as soon as they found out we were giving them some funding, they straight away got on to having their book published. So I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do with it, but they've donated one of their books to the community board, which is really interesting. There's quite a few authors there. So it was really good. Ange turned up, John and Lou yesterday were able to attend as well. Liz Stolwerk was there representing Susan, Barbara Kuriga was there, and it was really nice to afterwards meet quite a few of the, and have a chat with a lot of the Men's Shed people. So what they have put to us, which we can put on our agenda for our next meeting, which Karen will circulate with it, I'm sure, is the Men's Shed have had an idea to the members of the Te Awamutu Kihi and to the Prongi Award of something they'd like to see, a suggestion of something they'd like to see in our library, and they've already talked to the library supervisor. And it's basically using all the native woods of the Waipa area, just making a frame for the author's names to go in, and I believe the book can be looked at there too, because the book is naturally going to the library anyway. They've got donated one to the library, so it was just a suggestion that they had, and the library are looking at it as well, so we can discuss that at our next meeting. But it was just something they wanted to do as a gift to the library, and to us for as a thank you for what we donated. Yeah. So they talked about the profits from the book going to make the Men's Shed a better place, and to add on to it, and yeah, to extend it and update it and be painting it and doing different things. So they were very appreciative for the money that we've given them towards the book. Also, I'm quite excited. Just before I arrived there yesterday, I'd been at my youth group, and the numbers have never been so high. So yesterday had a really good turnout, and it's just great to see, especially we've been so lucky with the weather on Tuesdays, it's been so fine, that we can just go to the TA primary school and just do lots of outdoor activities. So we can do anything from back down and cricket to three-legged races, and it's just the kids using an imagination and me saying, okay, we've got all these things we can do, what would you like to do today? So it's just great seeing them not on their phones and not causing trouble and doing something like that. Thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted two things here. One, that the project from the Men's Shed that Jill's just been speaking about is to be no cost to us. They are going to pay for the whole thing themselves, just to make that quite clear. And there was one other part of that. Oh, in regard to the authors, what Richard explained to me was that it's a place that we can put our authors that we want to acknowledge. So people like Heather Morris, that obviously was recently initiated into the Walk of Fame, or it could be someone like, for example, Kat Quinn, who has written, you know, Kui the Kiwi, but people that have really been either very high up on the national or international stage was what they were thinking, or at least that's where he was angling at this point. And as Jill said, the library, Cherie was very open to it, and they were sussing out spots for it to go. So hopefully we can just help them make that a reality, because it certainly looks like a beautiful piece that they would like to contribute. Jill, I wanted to ask just for a bit of feedback on how your garden day went. Can't forget that.
Should we not talk about that last month? Maybe not. So maybe not. So absolutely wonderful, and gosh, we were just so keen to do it again. Kihi would like us to do it there as well. So it just went so well. So Sally and I were there. There was something for everyone to go home with. gosh, people were just so interested. They had so many different questions that we were able to help with. And it just continually went. We went from 12 to 5:30, and at 12 o'clock, we just had so many people, and then continually just a few, you know, going through the day, which was really good when there was just the two of us. But to start with, we had quite a few. We had families, because it was school holidays, come along, and we had children learning how to plant things as well as the adults. And it was just fascinating what people didn't know and wanted to know, and we were able to help them. So very, very worthwhile. Yeah, I'd love to do it more than once a year. That was really good. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, nice. Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much to you both. I popped down for a little bit, and it was really cool sitting back and listening. I learned a few things too. And I just wanted to also just have a quick special shout out to the Rewe Street Kindergarten, who gave us some beautiful tomato plants to give away, so that the kids at kindy had grown. So that was pretty cool.
So in return for that, we actually were given, Mitre 10 had given us quite a bit of things, but somebody saw it on Facebook, and they work at Bunnings in Hamilton. So they were as an activities person, so they gave us about 50 packets of seeds, and we had a few left over, so we gave them to the Rewe Street Kindy so that they could plant more seeds for their whānau. Yeah, so, yeah.
That's good teamwork. Well done. So has anyone else got anything that they would like to comment on that they've been involved with? Kane?
Yeah, attended the CBEC Hui last night, and Andrew was there as well. There's a couple of updates which I can probably put out in an email, to be honest, just around, there's a few things really, just the future of local government. They're trying to get a consensus document together, which is, as you can imagine, with all these community boards around the country, it's not particularly easy, but they've sort of broken it out into what they agree with, what there's sort of, what they think they can work on, and what they're going to have struggles with getting consensus on. So they're also asking for feedback, which I'll send the link through from all community board members. And that would be good for us to give feedback to them on that one. And I just, probably really encourage you guys to jump on. I think they have it every quarter. It's just an hour long, and I gave a big quick update on the incinerator issue that we've got, just letting know other communities about that, and those are the sort of things you can raise. So yeah, that was what I got to you.
Thanks, Kane. Jill?
Sorry, I didn't mention our ComSafe Day. So our ComSafe Day, which we had out at Kihikihi, which wasn't, unfortunately for Manda, who organised it, probably, quite a few people pulled out on the day, which was a shame, thinking the weather was going to be bad. But it still went really well, and Kane had drawn up with this Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board survey. So the people who filled it out anonymously went in the draw to win vouchers. And I thought, now what do I do with all these vouchers and, giving them out to people? So I actually sent them all messages and said, when you've got time, you've won a voucher, come and collect it from me when you can, because I thought, do I chase all around the countryside getting them? So all of the recipients were from Kihi. And they all came to my house, and we all had a talk, and it was wonderful. So not knowing who had written on them and filled them in, but it was just fantastic. So they were very keen and excited about the way the Kihi, the way we are involved in the Kihi community, and they were really delighted that this was really was aimed at them. And apart from one form, which just all over it said, God save the Queen. All the rest were just absolutely wonderful. And some were only one or two were sort of, we're happy with the way things are going. But a lot of them said they're really interested in the information they get from us, and that we are involved with them, And, you know, I've got all the forms here, so we just at some stage should have a look through them. They even talk about the incinerator, they talk about the playgrounds in the area. And I think they're all things that we just need to look at to acknowledge the different things I've said. But there was, you know, 30 people, so, and 30 vouchers, so it worked out really good. So everyone was a winner.
Good planning,
Yeah. But yeah, I was really excited about the way when they came and got them, they were just so thankful, and they had questions for me and I could answer them. And so that was a really good way to counteract with them. It was a whole week of people coming at different times of day and night, but it was really worthwhile. I was quite energized by it all. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's really neat. And thank you so much for doing that extra mahi, Jill. Really appreciate, really appreciate that, because I know you'd been pretty crook the week before, but you'd put so much effort in, and it was, it's great that you were able to still contribute in that way. And so thank you hugely.
And so as I hadn't been well on the day though, all the men stepped in. So we had Kane and John and Lou and Bruce all, there for the day with the hiding under the, actually I took some really good photos that I have got to share too.
Yep, absolutely. We need those photos. We've got to show us getting out there. So Bruce, John or Lou, any comments about the Kiki Day, and Kane, seeing as you guys were the men on the...
Madam Chair, and I found it very interesting, except I got about 3 questions that was outside my expertise, so I had to ask staff about those, so I actually learned something as well. So, but it's interesting that the members of the public don't seem to want to contact the council and find out the same thing, but it's quite interesting.
Keen to talk to us.
So that was great. Yeah.
Yep, cool. Oh, that's good. So thank you again very much to all of you. Really appreciate that, and I'm sorry that I I think I was in the South Island, so I was just a little bit far away. So thank you. Okay, so is anyone, John, you have something?
Yeah, just an update on the Alpha. Finances are a little bit tight at present. We've got to a stage where we've sort of can't do too much. I think there's a few holes in the floor that's got to be replaced, but we've had an awesome time doing what we've been doing. What used to be where they used to bring the bottle store area, which is a middle set of doors, that will be the new front entrance. We've tidied up all that inside. There will be an office put in there sometime, but we've got to replace the floor for that. But in the public bar, last time I looked, there wasn't much left of it. That got demolished completely. So I think we've got some holes in the floor to fix up. When the head builder's away in Aussie, and then I'm away next week. So when we're both back, we'll be fixing up the holes in the floor if Bill's got enough money to pay for the things. But Mitre 10's come to the party to a degree and given Bill a bit of a discount on the materials that we've been using. So it's been an enjoyable time getting in there and doing what I know. Sally tried to get hold of me one particular week. She couldn't. The phone was in the ute, and I had earmuffs on, so there was no way I was in the mood to talk. So I apologise to Sally for that, and she gave me a rack up by the email. Then I had to go to the dentist, so then I was really knackered. So good, yeah. Just a compliment to you guys with doing your submission. All right, from me.
Cool. Thanks, John. If no one else has got anything too much more, I've got a couple of things. So first up, I went along to the Rosetown Lions and just had a bit of a conversation with them in regard to Memorial Park. So the overall feeling was that they would like to see things pretty much stay the same. There were a couple of ladies there so I found someone that was in favour of modernisation. So there were a couple of ladies there that were like that. And there were a handful that felt they needed a lot more information to make a full decision. But there certainly was support there for retaining the Memorial Park, and that they were really lovely and very welcoming. So that was nice to just get out there. I received a letter from the Awamutu Lions, so thank you to Alan. I have responded and said thank you, but please pass on our thanks again, Jill, in regard to just providing a letter of support for the Memorial Park from the Awamutu Lions. They would like to see it retained as is. I just wanted to acknowledge that we received an invitation to go to the Pirongia Mountain function, but unfortunately we're all busy, so no one's going to be able to get out to that, but really appreciate that invitation from Diane and the committee. Recently, Colin McKenzie had organised a team of people to go wattle pulling. I had every intention of going along, but had a bit of a funny tummy that day, so I didn't actually make it. However, I haven't managed to catch up with him, so I don't know exactly how they went, but in light of the fact that that was the morning that the All Blacks played Ireland, they may have had a bit of trouble pulling people themselves. So I will find out and let you know. I wanted to acknowledge all of you again on the Kihikihi ComSafe Day. Thank you to Sally and Jill for organising all those vouchers and our bunting. Thank you to you guys for going along and manning the stand and helping put it up and take it down. And I can't name all of the sponsors, but I just want to acknowledge and thank all of the businesses that very kindly contributed those vouchers for us to be able to give away on the day, and to thank the people of Kihikihi for supporting us and taking part in our survey. So that was really neat to see. I did get along to the launch of the Sheddies function last night. I managed to do a detour to the wrong place. That is just typical of me. However, while I was there, I did catch up with Richard. I purchased a book, so I'm looking forward to having a read of some of those stories. They look like they've done an awesome job, and I have to say I was super impressed at how quick they managed to get that out. They must have virtually had it at the printer waiting for that money. But while I was there, did a bit of networking, and I will be heading off to the Knit and Natter and sometime in the very near future to meet with the Knit and Natter ladies and see all of the fabulous knitting that they've been doing for the various organisations around Te Awamutu that they can support, like Loving Arms and different groups, Children in Need and things like that. So that was very neat. I've got a couple of things also to mention. I have been making regular meetings with Shane and also now Steve Tritt. We've got Steve on board to help us with putting together that feasibility study for the Homes Garage. And as Shane has already mentioned, it's coming along. And I also attended the National Community Board Hui, and as Kane mentioned, they're really keen for community board members to attend, so keep an eye out for that because they do send it to all of us. So you did all receive that email, just make sure you had got it. So there's 2 websites to definitely have a look at, and the links are on the email that you've received. One is the Localism website, and the second one is the Future of Local Government. So both of those are definitely worthwhile to have a look at. As we are unable to attend the next local Future of New Zealand Government hui that they're having in Wellington on the 2nd of November, they were very keen to encourage us to complete the online feedback. So I've had a quick look at that, and some of the questions look like there needs to be a bit of thought put into those, but I think it's really important that as a community board, we actually use our voice. So I'd be really keen and encourage you all to go and have a read. Let's then reconvene a night that we've got, and we can go through and answer some of those questions and put that feedback in. I just need to double check, seeing as we are restricted by a time frame. Should we have been discussing? It's going to, it's a big, yeah.
Do you even have access to the questions, or will they come up as they
Well,
go?
there is some access to the questions, but they're quite in depth, and I really need everyone to have a look at them. But I'm not going to be able to say, look, we'll bring that back to a meeting to discuss it in a public forum. So are we able to have that discussion and just put some general comments?
Some general comments. I think sometimes when that does happen, and we have in the past, particularly sometimes when there's submissions that council might be putting into central government and they're really time limited, sometimes we put the submission goes through and appears on an agenda retrospectively.
Yeah.
So that might be another way to do it, because I think, we can look at the timescales for it, but that's the other alternative.
Okay, actually, that would be quite good, that whatever our answers are, we could then put that in the next agenda and say this is how we responded to those questions. Which is Joe's job. So the best way to do that is if we move a motion to do a submission to the, just might need your right wording.
Right now, Jane, you're not in the right place. You're in.
No.
Oh,
It's
not
all
in
gonna
a,
have to be retrospective.
Yeah.
the whole thing can be retrospective. I was just thinking that because it's not
in
an
the
actual
wrong
item.
item for it to be brought up, so it needs to be all of it needs to be retrospective.
All right.
I was just, Madam Chair, I think it might be appropriate, Joe, with the community board session with Dr. Stephen
Next
Finlay. Could
Wednesday.
you elaborate? Some members here, I don't think are quite familiar with the 1st of November one.
2nd of November.
Oh.
No, they won't be if they haven't read their email. Or if they've. What's the 1st of November? In Wellington? No, I'm talking about the thing in Wellington. I'm not talking about Stephen Findlay.
Sorry.
Okay, you're a step ahead of me, Bruce. No, I haven't got there yet, which thank you for reminding me about that. So we'll go back to there, but what I'm talking about came out of the National Community Board Hui. So on the 2nd of November in Wellington, Gary Dyatt, our CEO, along with Mayor Susan and Deputy Mayor Liz, will be attending the Hui in regard to the next set of questions and recommendations that local LGNZ, Local Government New Zealand, are asking in response to the review that was done of local government. So basically what they've done is they've broken all of the recommendations down into chunks. There's some that they're not going to address now because at their first Hui, which they had last month, if I've got this right, or earlier in the year, because I'm not 100% sure of exactly the date, they could not reach a consensus where they were close. They were poles apart. There is a document there from the Future of New Zealand website that I would recommend you read, because I can't regurgitate it all to explain it. But basically, in a nutshell, they've broken these recommendations down. There's a number of questions that we need to have a little think about from a community board perspective, and the ones that we feel we would like to comment on. What I'm asking is we use our voice and we comment on them, because that's what the feedback's coming from QBEC, which is our community board executive, our national community board executive, is asking us to do as a community board. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Just quickly, I was talking to Barbara last night and spent about half an hour with her. I was actually talking about this. So as I say, we'll have a new Minister of Local Government, and their address will be to decentralise. So this new administration is going to be talking about quite different things to what we've been operating under to date. So the legislation could be changed quite dramatically in the first 100 days. So it is one of those situations that doesn't get priority. It's not at the front, but it will have some priority. So
But
what
you
you're
would like-
dealing with was old legislation. So we're doing the same. We're just going through this process at Civil Defence, and we're doing the same. We're having a submission, but how much relevance it's got is virtually nil.
You would like to think that regardless of the government, that they're going to take into account all of the work that was done by going to all of the councils around the country to get their feedback, because this is what this is based on. It's not based on centralisation. It's based on saying, what do the councils and community boards want? So you would like to think, regardless of the government, that this piece of work will be taken into consideration with how they draft up that policy.
More than likely, I agree with you that they're taken in consideration. But
Yeah.
it might not be the exact model that they adopt. So
No,
we might have
but
to go through the whole of this submission process again.
well, hope not. But
Yeah,
we,
but no, that's
yeah,
what they're
it's a
saying.
possibility, isn't it? But you know, like if we don't do it and they don't, then we haven't used our voice. So, okay, that was that. Then the next thing is, has everyone received the email from Joe in regard to Stephen Findlay coming to see us next week, next Wednesday? That was very quick. Yep. So it is really, really important that we come to this meeting. So please move heaven and earth if possible.
I'm sorry, Joe wasn't giving my earhead come home from Australia.
Really? You haven't got your private jet organised?
That's in getting refueled.
Oh,
And I'll put my apology in too, Madam Chair.
okay. So two people can't be here.
As well.
Okay. However, well, do we not think that as community board members for this particular conversation, that it probably is quite important that you come and give your feedback and comments with us, so we're privy to that? Is that all right? You know, like I just think it's personally, I think it's important that you are there. I understand that there will be duplication on this particular one, but because it's about feedback and us participating as a group, I just feel it's really important, and especially if John can't be there. And Lou, are you away? I'm away. So we're already 2 down. Is that all right, Bruce?
Yeah, no, that's no problem. I'll be there. But
Thank you.
But Stephen's just getting information from us on 2 occasions, 2 different groups, really, in some
Yeah,
respects. I
2
don't mind being
different
there,
groups.
but it'll be quite interesting to get
Yeah.
a double whammy with it.
Okay, great. So put it in your diary. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's me, I think. Okay, so if we've finished listening to me ramble on, that's the board member reports. Our next item, number 12, will be the date of our next meeting on page 109. So the next meeting will be on the 23rd of November 2023, starting at 6 p.m. And before...
Just noting then, Madam Chair, that is a change from the usual
Yeah, it's a
Wednesday.
Thursday.
Oh, yes,
It's a
it is.
Thursday.
This was brought to our attention a couple of months ago by Deputy
Because
Chair
everybody's
Titchener.
invited to Who Are We Waipa at Don Rollins Centre on the Wednesday night.
It was. Wait, there's just one other item that isn't on the agenda, and I'm going to get a little bit emotional because I'm going to missed this one. It was a wet squeaky, which I really didn't want to do. But I just wanted to say, on behalf of all of us, Kieran, thank you so very much for putting up with my whinging and whining, for being an awesome right-hand person for us in the community board, and all the amazing mahi you've done, keeping us up to date, getting our emails out. Poor Jo's got massive boots to try and fill. She just has no idea what she's in for. She only sees a fraction of it. So look out, Jo. But no, look, thank you so very, very much. And we wish you all the very, very best in your new job. And we do hope we'll still see you around from time to time, seeing as you are still a Waipā lady. So thanks, Kieran.
So Kate and I are saying, well, we had no idea. So when does all this happen?
I finish on the 3rd of November.
Perfect. Thank you, because I wasn't sure of the date. So, okay. So as I say, thank you so much. And we're really, truly very grateful. So next up will be the karakia whakamutanga.
Why don't you just ask everybody before they all go?
Actually, that's a good idea. Yes.
Next Sunday, we've got e-waste collection. So that's not this coming Sunday, the following Sunday, that's in November. The first Sunday in November, which will be the 6th, I have to look it up. What's on my calendar? Yeah, 6th. The 6th of November, normal time. We're double advertising this time because we're trying to make everybody aware that we're not having a collection in December or early January. So we're only having the collection this time in November. Then we go to anniversary weekend in January. So I'll put a bigger advert in. And the second thing was Anzac Day. I asked you about a wreath. I'll preside a wreath, but you're all happy with having a wreath from the community board. Just asking whoever wants to attend, you can actually lay the wreath if you want to. As I say, because I could be doing it for the council anyway. So yeah, we usually do it just through the funds. They just do it as a discretionary. Yeah, I can do it. I'm actually talking to Chantel anyway. So is that the right person at the moment? Robin, sorry, Robin. Yeah, Robin. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. That Lou.
Yeah, no, I'll do that. That's all.
Sorry,
Yeah,
John, did you?
You're back to Lou, it's Armistice Day, not Anzac Day.
Armistice, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so Armistice Day. I thought that's what he meant. Okay, we can close the meeting and then we can just tidy up these bits at the end. So our karakia Awamutu a mātou mahi mō tēnei wā mana kitea mai mātou katoa o mātou hoa o mātou whānau ai o ki te aorangi. Our work has finished for the time being. Protect us all, our friends, our family. Peace to the universe. So pō to everybody. Thank you very much for attending tonight, and we can